Brought to you by JMR Rentals, professional digital cinema and broadcast equipment rentals in Brooklyn, New York. JMRNY.com. And now get 15% off your first rental when you use the promo code WEEKEND. Call 347-721-3400 or email info@jmrny.com for details. The Little Things, starring Denzel Washington, Jared Leto, and Rami Malek. Give me a little plot rundown of The Little Things.
Basically, you have Denzel Washington. He's like a deputy sheriff in a rural California county. I think he's out near Bakersfield. He comes down to LA to pick up some evidence, and then he gets drawn into an old case that he couldn't solve from like years before when he was in the LAPD about like women being kidnapped and murdered and everything like that. And between his looser obsession with rules and Rami Malek's steadfast approach to everything, they kind of form a duo to try to put this mystery to bed once and for all. And they key in on a really creepy guy played by Jared Leto as the possible killer. I gotta say, there's a lot of interesting stuff in this film, and I really liked it the first time I saw it when it was called Seven. So
Now, this movie was written in the early 90s.
Yeah, it lived on a shelf for years and went through development hell for a long time.
It's one of those things, like, it's a movie with some great stuff in it. The director is John Lee Hancock, and I think it's well directed. It's a good looking movie. There's good production design. There's good cinematography. And when you break down the acting, for me, it's a really strong Denzel Washington performance.
Denzel struck me as the grown-up version of his character from Training Day. He's still breaking the rules. He's still doing whatever the hell he feels like on whatever whim he's doing it, and breaking the actual laws in the process. But he is a little bit more wizened from years of experience, and that basically makes him obsessed about solving this one case as if that's going to like exorcise some demons. So yeah, he does really well. Oddly enough, they pitched this film to get Jared Leto another Oscar. He was nominated for the Golden Globe and I think for the Screen Actors Guild Award for supporting actor. And all I could think was like, really? I like Jared Leto a lot more than most, both as a singer and as an actor. I have actually seen 30 Seconds to Mars in concert without the least bit of shame. But he's just playing every generic creepy guy character that's ever existed.
He's very creepy. Like he takes creepy to a great level. I think Malek is probably the one that suffers the most and doesn't get enough to do.
His character's too far painted into the straight-laced corner to really get to breathe at all. Whereas Jared Leto is playing like some kind of combination of John Malkovich and Kevin Spacey, with a little Anthony Hopkins Hannibal Lecter thrown in just for good measure.
To me, though, the thing that made the movie like really watchable is the Denzel Washington's performance, because every scene that he's in, he's got this world-weary, and it's the first time I've ever thought of Denzel Washington being older. I don't know how old he is off the top. He's definitely probably...
I think he's in his late 60s.
He's definitely older than he looks most of the time. In this one, he actually kind of looks more his age. But
66.
Every look, every moment with him, you get the feeling that this guy has had a lot of weight on his shoulders, and it's just a masterful performance. And it's a shame it's not in a better movie. I think my review is like, if you think you've seen this movie before, you probably have. It's a sort of stop me if you've heard this one, full of tropes kind of thing, which is unfortunate. And I do think if this movie came out in like 93, like it would have killed. It would have killed at the box office.
And that's the thing. It was written before all those great 90s crime movies like Seven and LA Confidential and all them came out. It just didn't get picked up because John Lee Hancock wasn't a name back then. He didn't really have any kind of heft in Hollywood to basically get to the front of the line. And then by the time people were starting to look at it, the style had already been done to death. So it got shelved for 20 years, which is a shame.
It's interesting in that aspect. It's almost like a curiosity in that way.
It's a time capsule almost.
For me, is it a recommendation for you?
Not really, but there are some good moments. Like, I think my favorite scene of the whole film is when Denzel is trailing Jared, like trying to tail him and chase him like along the highway, and he basically like pulls past him when he's pulled over on the shoulder, and then goes through an exit, and then is on the opposite end from them, and they basically like keep trading spots on the opposite end of the highway for about 5 minutes, and it's like, okay, that's the 1 minute where I'm like, okay, Jared, you got me. Like, now you're a legit creeper. Now I can actually buy that maybe you are the villain behind this, because you are toying with them right now, and it's delicious. The stuff in the like the interrogation room where like he basically tricks Rami Malek into grabbing his junk, that was gratuitous. But that moment where they're just getting on and off freeway exits just to taunt each other, if we could have lived in that kind of space for the movie, I would have probably enjoyed it a lot more than I did.
So for me, this is, I would say, a loose recommendation, just for Denzel Washington's performance. If you're a Washington fan and you want to see him, he's so. Movie's got problems, but he is terrific throughout.
This was not ever going to be an Oscar contender, and it's why I hate the Golden Globes, because they're the first hurdle to clear, and they just basically take bribes to put anything up as a nominee. And it shows with this movie. Like, this movie had no business being seriously considered for anything. If we had just released it in a normal part of the year, whether online or in theaters, and just kind of enjoyed it for the B movie that it was, probably would have been a lot better. Whereas when you try to sell it to me as, you know, Jared Leto should win another Oscar, and I look at this and he's just going cuckoo bananas for an hour and a half, what am I supposed to latch onto? And that makes me rebel against the film.